President Trump's expanded immigration crackdown is now underway in Louisiana. DHS confirmed it launched Operation Catahoula Crunch, named for the Louisiana state dog, this morning. CNN obtained this video of ICE agents earlier today detaining and questioning someone, the legal status of a man at a Home Depot was some 28 miles west of New Orleans in the suburb of Laplace. And New Orleans is also bracing for the arrival of federal agents and eventually the National Guard as well. The city's mayor-elect and first Latina to lead City Hall tells CNN she fears DHS tactics will target people of color.
What they're seeing on TV and reports that they're seeing is not that Border Patrol is going after the most violent criminals. That's not what they're seeing. What they're seeing is what appears to be racial profiling of brown people, and then going after these individuals and treating them like they are these significantly violent offenders.
We're joined now by Oliver Thomas. He's a New Orleans City Council member, a former Democratic mayoral candidate as well, and the chair of the council's Criminal Justice Committee. Thank you so much for being with us, sir. The incoming mayor, of course, concerned about profiling. Is there anything in place now to prevent that in your community?
No, and she should be concerned, and rightfully so. Congratulations to her for at least letting our community know that there is some concern. We shouldn't have raids or have posses that invade our community to do roundups. We want the most violent people, whether they're illegal immigrants or whether they're from our communities, we want them off of our streets. But surely there has to be a better coordinated effort in a way to do this without treating us like we're Dodge City or some part of the Wild West.
We heard in similar situations in Charlotte, for example, that there had been a noticeable decline in student attendance at school. I think in Charlotte, it dropped by like 15% on a given week when these operations were taking place. I imagine that you have concerns not only about schools, but businesses as well.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about early on, when we saw what was happening in other parts of the country, we talked about, and even many folk, conservative folk who are involved in our economics and our business community, why are they raiding job sites? Why are they shutting down projects across America without coordinating with local officials? Surely our government knows who these illegal immigrants are, the ones who are rapists, the domestic violence, the ones who are murderers or robbers who are killing people. You can't tell me that they don't know who they are, that they can't coordinate with state and local officials and go apprehend those people. You know, this isn't the Wild Wild West. We don't need roaming posses. And the mayor-elect is correct. People don't see it as an effort. In many cases, there are large parts of the community who don't see it as an effort to get the most violent people off the street. They see it as an effort to round up one of the most vulnerable populations. And in many cases, especially when you look at New Orleans, where would we be post-Katrina without much of our immigrant population or people coming from around the world to help us rebuild? It just doesn't seem like the best way to do it.
Talk to us more about that, because a lot of folks aren't quite as familiar with the history of New Orleans when it comes to the impact that these migrants have had. There's a sense of appreciation for them.
Yeah, especially here, you know, our brothers and sisters, I'll never forget there was a group from Jamaica, Ray and their group. Many of our
All right, I've heard enough of this garbage. Black people cry and whine and complain as ICE begins Operation Swamp Sweep, entering into the city of New Orleans, Louisiana, on a hunt for illegal immigrants. As you see, the elected officials in New Orleans, they are illegal immigrant sympathizers. They refer to them as our brothers and sisters, and they actually defend the invasion of the United States at the hands of the illegal immigrant hordes who come in and compete with the citizens of the United States for already strained resources. It amazes me how African American people can celebrate and defend people coming into their community, battling them for resources, while simultaneously complaining about not having enough. I mean, you really have to make up your mind and pick a struggle or pick a side. Either African Americans are the most oppressed group in the United States of America and are constantly marginalized and disproportionately impacted by everything, and struggle to gain the same level of prosperity as every other group, or we're doing fine and we really have no need or no reason to complain. You really have to make up your mind, because I thought black folks was poor. I thought black folks didn't have no money. If you listen to Yvette Carnell, I thought black folks was coming from the bottom, and a disproportionate number of us are living in poverty. That's what they say. That's the story they've been selling to me since I was able to remember. Black people in America are doing so bad. We don't have the same opportunities as everybody else. That's what they say. But what I can't understand is, how can a group of people who constantly complain about not having opportunities, not having enough, about racism and being marginalized, how can those same people fight for a group of people who are traditionally racist against black people? How can they fight for this group to be given unimpeded, unfettered access, illegal access to the United States of America? Please help me understand that. I'm telling you, when someone fights for something that is of no benefit to them, when someone fights for something that will ultimately result in nothing but their destruction, you know that there's some significant mental illness and derangement in play. African Americans complain about everything they can't get in America. They complain about everything that's not right with America, while simultaneously welcoming in groups of people who traditionally are racist and hostile to black people. We'll get on the internet all day and talk about how Trump is a racist. Bro, you think the South Americans aren't racist? They're over there exterminating their indigenous populations, making clear distinctions between them and the darker skinned inhabitants of their countries. Even if you talk to a Dominican, they'll say, oh, I'm Dominican, no black, blacker than me. There's a well-documented history of anti-black racism in South America. So it's crazy to me how the same group that is in America constantly bellyaching and complaining about anti-black racism now gets out and fights to give access, to give anti-black, racist Hispanics access to America. I mean, I'm asking this question, like, can someone make this make sense to me? You in New Orleans, the people of New Orleans complained about them not having resources. After Hurricane Katrina, black folks all up in the news. We can't get the resources we need. They abandoned us. Yeah, right? But you know what's crazy? The same city of New Orleans who couldn't provide resources to the black people, the white people, and the American citizens who were greatly affected by the Hurricane Katrina. They couldn't give them the resources they need, but they somehow are able to find multiple millions and billions of dollars to provide resources for illegal immigrants. Somebody is lying. There's something going on that ain't nobody talking about. If the Black community needs something, if American citizens need something, we ain't got it. But they sure as hell can find it for the illegal immigrants. You should be pissed off that these people were even allowed into the country, that they were even allowed to skip the line and enter into the country. But instead, you've been brainwashed by the Democratic Party to just accept the disrespect and abuse that they heap upon you in the name of achieving or reaching a political goal. They need a new voter base. They're willing to bring that voter base into the country from outside the country. They want that voter base to get to be placed at the front of the line and to be given resources and opportunities that they told you were not available. You may say, oh, the great replacement theory is not real. But what does it sound like to you? Because that sounds like replacement to me. And your leaders, these quote unquote Black leaders, they're so willing to sell you out over this group of people who, legally speaking, can't even vote. Imagine a politician whose entire career depends on receiving a higher number of votes than challengers and opponents. Imagine that politician fighting harder for a group of people who can't even vote. They're of no use to him or her. But that politician fights harder for this group of people than they fight for their own constituents, their own voters, the people who actually put them in office. Something stinks to high heaven. Something's going on. Something fishy is going on. But for some reason, African Americans, Black folk, we are just determined to pretend like we don't see it.
Hispanic brothers and sisters who were skilled laborers, while people were displaced, they were here helping us do more remediation, rebuild critical infrastructure, repair homes and commercial infrastructure. So they were and still are a vital part of our community. I'm sure that there's a better way to do it. There's a better way for Border Patrol and ICE to coordinate with our police department, to coordinate with the state police, to coordinate with local officials to identify who these so-called violent offenders are and go apprehend them without shutting down work sites, without shutting down, in many cases, with our infrastructure. There's still a recovery here.
The FBI and Louisiana State Police are launching this joint effort to...
Okay, now let me tell you how ridiculous this is. So you have Oliver Thomas Jr. That's the guy's name who's speaking. He's like, the illegal immigrants are a part of our labor force. They make up a significant part of our labor force. Basically saying, we need the illegal immigrants here, right? They were important in rebuilding the city after Katrina. Okay. Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans in 2005. Since Hurricane Katrina, it's been almost 21 years since Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans. You're telling me that in 21 years, you could not have trained legal residents of New Orleans, these young men running around with switches and automatic rifles, killing each other up? You're telling me in 21 years, you couldn't have trained them to be the labor force that the city of New Orleans needed? Oh, no, you can't. See, that's what's going on. The Black youth get guns and drugs. And that's what's, pushed on them, and that's what's promoted to them. But when it comes to the good paying construction jobs or the city jobs or the trade union jobs, they give that to the illegal immigrants. That's what they mean when they say, oh, they're doing the job that Americans don't want. No. They're doing the jobs that legal American citizens can't get. Come to California and try to join a union. The Mexicans will make sure you never get in that union because they took over the union. And if they're legal American citizens, that's fine. But it's not just legal American citizens. It is illegal immigrants who are protected and defended by legal American citizens who happen to be Hispanic. You're an idiot, T-Cobb. I haven't been brainwashed to to believe in anything. T-Cobb, you want to come up here? I want to talk to you. You're not an idiot. You're just dumb. Let me send you the link, T-Cobb, because you're going to explain to me how it benefits me as a black man to allow terrorists into this country who have already proven that they're willing to kill thousands of Americans at any given time. So because your mother smoked crack while you were in the womb, you want me to have a mindset of laissez-faire, or no one's illegal on stolen land and all this shit, like there aren't real threats out here presented by people who want nothing more than the destruction of America. So you can feel better about yourself every day. You willing to allow hostile threats into this country to kill up a bunch of American people. Do you realize how dumb you sound? Do you realize how dumb you sound? We are of the earth, Native American wannabe ass idiot. That stuff sounds good in movies. That stuff does not translate into real life. In a movie, an Indian with a bow and arrow can take out a whole brigade of soldiers. But in real life, those soldiers put boot to ass on those Indians so bad that they got relegated, confined to very tiny reservations, and they can't come off. In the movie, Pocahontas was a hero. In real life, Pocahontas died. She died in England and left the island and went to England and didn't want to go back. In the movie, Pocahontas fell in love with John Smith. In reality, she actually married John Rolfe, a totally different person. But this is the delusional perspective that a lot of African Americans approach real life political situations, geopolitical situations with. You've been convinced, brainwashed into believing invisible borders. No. I've experienced, this is experience talking. I've experienced illegal immigrants. I've experienced hostile groups entering into the country and committing terrorist attacks against Americans that cost thousands of lives. I woke up in the 10th grade, or what grade was I in? Yeah, I woke up in the 9th grade. And back then I used to leave my TV on all night. I woke up in the 9th grade to the Twin Towers on fire. I watched on TV as the Twin Towers collapsed. My high school football game, one of them, was almost canceled because of 9/11. You will never, ever see a person from my generation who has any sense advocating for open borders because we know what the potential harm in that is. And when you see these old people preaching for open borders and yeah, no one's illegal and all that, you know these people are just delusional because they also lived through that terrorist attack. And you're telling me, yeah, we need to let more of them over here. If you have Afghan asylum seekers over here legally willing to kill National Guards men and women and National Guard members, how much more so do you think an illegal immigrant Afghan terrorist would be willing to kill Americans were they given entry to this country without being vetted? And what we know for a fact is there were thousands and thousands of people, many of whom were on the terrorist watch list. Many of whom were on the terrorist watch list who were allowed into this country under Joe Biden. So when Trump says, hey, these people got to go, when they get caught stealing to the tune of billions of dollars and Trump says, these people got to go, look, I'm with it. If you don't like it, that's cool. That's on you, though. I know liberals who are dumb enough to say, hey, man, I don't believe in having guns. You tell them, well, what if someone break your house and attack your family? I'll fight them. What if they pull a gun on you? I'll fight them. So then they shoot you, and then they take advantage of your wife and your daughter and everything else. Well, it don't matter. I just don't believe in guns. None of the arguments that are coming from the left actually make sense in real life. When scrutinized, none of these arguments actually make sense. This idiot, Oliver Thomas Jr., he's talking about we need the illegal immigrants here. While simultaneously, this idiot will say, well, the black youth are committing crime because they don't have jobs. Well, if you remove the illegal immigrants, guess what that opens up for the black youth who commit crime because they don't have jobs? Tanny, I like this comment. Louisiana pays for skills training programs, but the industries rather utilize cheap Mexican labor. But do you understand that there are laws and stuff that you can put in place? Do you understand that there's regulations you can put in place? Do you understand that every company does not want cheap labor? The reality is that is the nature of business. If there's cheap labor to be had, it is the duty of a business to go and take advantage of that cheap labor. But if the cheap labor is removed, how can the businesses take advantage of the cheap labor? Just ask yourself that. Just ask yourself that. If the cheap labor is removed, how can the businesses take advantage of it? See, it all boils down to one issue. Illegal immigrants need to be removed from America. And if they want to be here, they need to come into this country the right way, with an understanding of the culture of America. So they won't go out and say, hey, Mr. John, I'll do it for $13.99 and the minimum wage is $20. This situation is creating a bigger problem than it's worth. It hurts everyone all the way around. But in 2010, our wonderful first Black president, Barack Obama, he did a study. He had a study conducted. And the study determined that illegal immigration disproportionately impacted African Americans as far as economically. So you already have the proof and the evidence and the numbers that confirm who illegal immigration hurts the most. So why on God's green earth are the people who are hurt the most by illegal immigration, why are they the ones fighting the most to bring illegal immigrants into this country? I want you guys to take a second to think about that. Take a second. Let me ask it again. Why is the group of people who are the most disproportionately impacted by illegal immigrations the main group fighting to bring in more illegal immigrants? Can you answer that for me? Why the group of people who are the most negatively impacted by illegal immigration, based on Obama's 2010 study, why are they the group that's fighting the hardest to bring in more illegal immigrants? Because they want to be victims. That's why. Black folks want to fight to bring illegal immigrants into the country, and the same black folks will then, in a week or 2 weeks or in 6 months, be screaming about how America is racist because they can't get no jobs because the illegal immigrants getting all the jobs. Understand that. That's us. That's how we do. That's how we do. These people have been belly aching about the black unemployment rate for God knows how long. Remember when they always used to complain about the black unemployment rate? Oh, the black unemployment rate is double the white unemployment rate. That's what they used to say, right? Right? Well, why would anyone complaining about the unemployment rate? Why would anyone complaining about the unemployment rate want to bring more people in to compete for jobs? And you want me to tell you what's crazy? I've had black people telling me how many jobs are now available on Indeed and Monster.com and all these job hunting sites. They like, dang, man, it's all types of jobs available now. I say, yeah, because they getting illegal immigrants out. I got a relative who just literally sat on an interview for an accounts manager job and got a second interview after searching for a job for several years. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is, Black America? Because now the illegals have been removed who were clogging up the job market. And now you have an opportunity to start building a future with gainful, honest work. You ain't got to sell it no more. Pause. You ain't got to sell that thing for 40 no more. You can go get you a job now. No excuses. Why are we fighting against that? Unless maybe many of us just don't want to work. Could that be it? I think so. I think so. Only a group of people who are consigned to, or wait, not consigned, resigned. Only a group of people, I think the word is resigned, to constantly playing the victim. That's the only group of people I could imagine would fight to bring other people into the country to take away their opportunities. Too many black folks is cool with just being on welfare. Too many black folks are cool with just being on food stamps. Understand that. So when it comes to a job ain't don't mean nothing to them because they ain't planning on working. Here go T-Cop. Blacks do work, idiot. I didn't say they didn't. But there are too many black people who are just okay with this life of generational welfare. And I believe that's one of the greatest things Obama did for the African American community. As the son of an immigrant, he did an honest study to measure the negative impact illegal immigration has on the Black community. Be careful with that. It might not be all the way done. Break it open. He did an honest study. So you can't say, oh, that's just Trump. He's a racist. That's one of the biggest reasons why the Obama administration was deporting so many people. Obama deported more illegal immigrants than Trump could ever deport. Why? Because as a service for his people, he said, hey, this is what's hurting you. This is what's keeping you from getting opportunities. Let me get rid of the element that is blocking you from your opportunities so then you can take advantage of those opportunities. And based on many estimates, Joe Biden erased all that hard work Obama did in one term by allowing estimated 20 million illegal immigrants into the country. It's too loud. But that's the whole thing. So I don't understand these Black folks. The only answer, the only thing that could make what we're doing make sense is we want to be the permanent victim class of the United States of America. And it's starting to look like that. Let's check this out. Hold on. Studies on the impact of illegal immigrants during the Obama administration cover various economic and social effects related to deportation policies and executive actions like DACA and DAPA. These studies highlight both the effects of removals on the economy and the potential gains from integration programs. Hold on. Hold on, I looked up the wrong thing. Right here. I found it. All right, here we go. So look, studies on the impact of illegal immigration during the Obama administration present conflicting findings, primarily focused on the effects of low-skilled African-American workers, wages, and employment opportunities. The negative impact on low-skilled workers, a 2010 report by the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights, concluded that illegal immigration has tended to depress both wages and employment rates for low-skilled American citizens, a disproportionate number of whom are Black men. This perspective argues that an influx of low-skilled immigrant labor increases competition in the job market, driving down wages and reducing opportunities for Black Americans who often cluster in the same metropolitan areas and job sector. So what is that going to tell you? What is that telling you? So now we know why the Black women want the immigration. They hate Black men and they don't care what. A lot of them hate Black men and don't care what negatively impacts us. But just answer me. Why are there Black men asking to bring more illegal immigration into this country when we've already discovered that it has a negative impact on Black men in America? That is a study under Obama. As a matter of fact, shout out to Obama, even though I don't like him, he asked for that study to be conducted. And when he found that out, he became the deporter in chief. He started deporting all the illegals up out of America. He did his job as president. He said, there's a group of legal American citizens who are being hurt by this. So we need to eliminate this phenomena from our country. What's wrong with that? The American president actually working for America? And Trump continues the work that Obama was doing. But how it's so crazy how someone can be doing something that helps your community, but your community does nothing but fight against that person. You're going to tell me I'm lying? You can look it up. I just looked it up and read it to you. See, so when people talk about me, oh, you're a coon, you're Uncle Tom and all this stuff, I don't listen to them. I know that they're ignorant. They're ignorant of the reality of the situation as it concerns or pertains to their group. They don't know what they're talking about. They're talking out the side of their damn neck, as they say. Let me get this comment. I've been working in my industry for 25 years and never seen a black scale master. The illegals got put out. Now the whole front office is black. Trump was doing a good thing for my community. I believe that. I believe that. What industry are you in? Trucking? Are you in trucking? What industry is that? Yeah, because now that the illegals are gone, they can't do the pick-me crap when it comes to promotions. It's happening all over the United States. Primarily because a lot of these dudes is afraid to go to work because they're afraid ICE going to show up to their job. But you see things now happening across America that you never saw before. How do you bring, listen, there's this song, If I Ruled the World by Nas. And Nas said in that song, how can the president fix other places when he ain't fixed home yet? You got to take care of home. Like Dave Hollister say, you have to take care of home first before you can fix other people's problems. You don't just bring a bunch of people into this country and put them in front of a huge group within this country. Like you got to understand that. And then people say something like I got Renard in here. Brandon, understand when some of these folks are non-FBA ADOS, mad that Black Americans not capping for them anymore. I get that. I get that. But what you got to understand is Black immigrants only make up 3 million people. It's 3 million of them. That's it. America don't never let Black immigrants in high numbers. We know that. And they'll say, oh, yeah, because the cultural differences, whatever. It's only 3 million Black immigrants, period, legal or illegal, in this country. How many Hispanic immigrants are in this country? How many Hispanic immigrants are in this country? 100 million or more? They're saying that Biden let in 20 million. And I'm just talking about illegals. Overall, there's like 200 million Hispanics in the country, though, while there's 40 million Blacks. If anything, you should be letting Black immigrants in to keep the numbers even. But what we see is the number of Hispanics continuously grows to be closer to the number of white folks, while the number of Black people barely grows or gets smaller. That's not by accident. But my question is, why is your Black ass fighting for it to be that way? You calling me a coon while you fighting to push yourself out of relevance. But I'm the coon. Now it's 44 million Black people in America. We could check, maybe the number has grown. And that's including the Black immigrants. Hold on. In America. Oh, wow. Numbers gone up. It's 48.3 million. Y'all, we coming up. We coming up. Now let's look at how many Hispanic people here. Now listen, I say this all the time. If we live in a country, it's 68.1 million Hispanic and Latino people in the United States, representing about 20% of the total population. Now, count the illegals. Let's put the 20 million that Biden let in illegally. That bumped that up to 80 million, 80 to 88 million. See, it's hard to know the numbers when you got so many undocumented people here. That's the problem. Understand that. But you're outnumbered by Hispanics. They're double your number if you count the 20 million illegals who were allowed in, and then probably another 50 million illegals who aren't even documented. But if this is a country that is ruled with the tenets of democracy, democracy means majority rules, right? So it would seem that in America, it would seem the government should want to keep the numbers a little bit more even so everyone has a fair shot when it comes to controlling how the country is run. But they don't. Let's just let all the Hispanics come in, bar the black immigrants from coming in, so that now areas that once were traditionally black are now being taken over by other groups, and blacks have no say. But you got dumb fools out here in Louisiana arguing and fighting and caping for illegal immigrants. It doesn't make any sense. And that's when you know that someone is getting paid off. When they are arguing and fighting for something that actually hurts their community, that means they're getting paid off, folks. They're getting paid off. And you need to know how to recognize that. Because if you don't know how to recognize that, you're going to be in a world of pain. But let's check out one more clip about these sweeps. Then we're going to change subjects. We're going to change topics. Sorry, my voice is a little rough today. I'm gonna start this over. Let me know if y'all can hear this. Hold on.
Are actually convicted of crimes or involved in criminal activity. We've also been asking for those numbers.
Large-scale immigration crackdown in New Orleans is entering its second week. DHS says the operation is targeting, quote, criminal illegal aliens, but some residents say they are being stopped regardless of immigration status. And some local leaders say they are being left in the dark. CBS News reporter Katie Weiss is live from New Orleans. So, Katie, let's talk about the scale of the arrests so far. What are you seeing?
Sure. Good morning, Vlad. Yes, so far the AP is reporting that they've obtained internal documents that show that about 9 of the 38 people arrested so far in this Operation Catahoula Crunch are actually convicted of crimes or involved in criminal activity. We've also been asking for those numbers ourselves. So far, DHS has not supplied a full detailed list of every single person that they have detained in this operation. At one point last week, they did put out a more vague list detailing some of the 6 people that they have arrested that did have
criminal histories, including one man who they said was a sex offender, another who was accused in a homicide. But we're still working to really get a better picture of the kinds of people that they're targeting, especially as we're seeing so many people here in the Big Easy really up in arms about their tactics. We saw over the weekend more than 4 protests on Saturday and Sunday of just really upset community members feeling as though they're being targeted for reasons far beyond crime. Vlad?
So what impacts are we seeing, Katie, on the city as this operation continues?
Sure. Well, like I said, lots of people are getting out their phones and protesting. They're also trying to take it upon themselves to track these officers, agents throughout the city, kind of being citizen journalists, going on, social media live streams to warn each other, community members, about where they're going and where they're going to be next. They're even delivering meals to people. A couple of churches have been helping out, delivering meals to neighbors in Kenner, Louisiana. It's a suburb about 30 minutes away from here, because people are just simply afraid to leave their house. In fact, one woman was walking home from her corner store. She's a 23-year-old U.S. citizen, born and raised here in this community, and she was approached by several armed men in masks and immediately just decided, I need to start running. Take a listen.
I immediately started telling him, like, I'm born and raised here, like, I'm a U.S. citizen, and he did not care at all. I didn't know if I should run or not. I was scared, but then another car pulled up, and that's when I was like, oh, I'm out of here.
Yeah, you're a U.S. citizen, but you're running from ICE. And then you wonder why you're getting profiled. If they're saying, hey, dude, I'm looking for a black dude, 6'2", 185 pounds, and they tell me, hey, can I talk to you? I'm not going to run. Why would I run and I've done nothing wrong? And if I do run and they tackle me, I'm not going to say, why did you tackle me? I didn't do anything. Well, you ran like you were guilty. It really doesn't make sense. But what I'll tell you is these people say there's people within their community who are illegal, so they're afraid to go to work. Guess what? More jobs for us. Trump is restoring the balance to this country that was broken or thrown off by Biden's auto pin. That's what I think. That's what I know. And it's a good thing. And then I got these people. It was this Somali guy. I was on another stream. And this Somali guy was like, I'm a legal citizen living in Minnesota, and I stopped me and they detained me, right? And a lot of people don't know the difference between being detained and being arrested. So I get in there, I say, okay, they detained you because you fit a certain profile. I said, tell me the details of your detainment. Oh, I don't have to tell you that, but I got it on video. The guy was just lying. If they stop you, you give them your ID, your name. Hey, this is me. 2 seconds, they punch you in. You're an American citizen. You go on about your way. But what people don't understand is profiling is a part of law enforcement. When people say, oh, I don't want to be racially profiled, profiling is a part of law enforcement. If someone says, hey, a guy who was black, about 6'2", 185 pounds, driving a red Honda Civic, robbed a store. Well, if you're driving a red Honda Civic and you black, you're probably going to get pulled over. If you're 185 pounds and anywhere near 6 feet, you're probably going to get pulled over. I always tell people, you remember those movies where a guy would go in and they would do like a lineup? And the victim would have to pick out who was the person who did it. You know how lineups are created? By profiling. It's just the way it is. Robert Woolley, 100%. The feds know who they're after. Yes, they will detain and interact with people who are not illegal. That's true. That's a part of it. But understand that those people are here to keep you safe. Because before the illegal criminal alien killed little Jocelyn Hernandez, he didn't ask her, hey, he didn't stop. When he decided to kill her, he didn't stop and say, oh man, she's Hispanic too, let me not kill her. No, he murdered her viciously. That's it. Okay. We're gonna move on to the next topic. This one is buzzing in the media, where the sheriff of a Florida county, he's pretty popular. I forgot his name, but he's in a lot of videos. He goes off on Black or African American parents in Florida after Black youth football players go on a crime spree following a game. So you didn't play the game, you win the game, and then you go out and loot the city. Is that wild? I don't want to believe it. But
Good evening. I'm Keith Kate.
But when I found out it was in an area with a high African American concentration, I knew it was true. And I know that's sad, and that's not fair, Brandon. Is that? We'll do better then. Do better. Stop telling me about how something is not fair, and hold yourself and your badass kids accountable.
Good evening. I'm Keith Kate. Thank you for joining us. Well, they came from Philadelphia to play in a championship football game, but what they did at a sports store got them yanked from the game and hauled off into custody. U.S. Channel 8's Ryan Arbogast in at Hampton Newsroom tonight. He has more on this story. And Ryan, Sheriff Grady Judd was really fired up today about this. Actually made an example of the accused shoplifters, and he had some words for the coach as well.
Keith, 100%, absolutely. The sheriff says that the crime was obvious, but what really made him angry was the response from the coach. Instead of taking some accountability, he begged the sheriff to drop the charges. So the sheriff says the players on that team learned the hard way. A real welcome to Polk County.
The systematic, organized theft ring called a football team.
Smile. You're on camera. This is surveillance video from a Dick's Sporting Goods in Davenport. All the angles law enforcement needed to call this a crime.
You didn't see 8 kids from Polk County in a store this weekend stealing, did ya?
Sheriff Grady Judd busting out the industrial printer to make an example of 8 teens, all either 14 or 15 years old.
They stole, and they stole, and they stole, and they stole, and they stole. Yeah. How do you like that?
The teens were in town for a youth football competition, representing the United Thoroughbreds out of Philly. The coach begging Grady to drop the charges.
You're way off base here, buddy. Way off base. You're the ultimate loser.
The sheriff's office says the boys Ubered over to Dick's before the game with a plan. One teen buys something, then links up with his buddies, stuffing over $2,000 in merchandise into the bag. In total, 47 items.
I don't know how you do things in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but in Polk County, Florida, we'd lock you up.
Boy.
Yeah.
So we got to talk.
Damn, $2,000 worth of merchandise is crazy. I thought they might have stole some candy or some $2,000 worth of merch out of Dick's Sporting Goods. But see, here's the difference. Philadelphia, liberal city. Polk County, Florida, conservative county. See, if they would have done that in Philly, they would have got away with it. They would have got a slap on the wrist, if anything at all. But because they're in a red state, the law is actually being enforced. Do you see how that works? Do you see how that works? You go to Florida, a red state, you do crime, you get held accountable. You go to the blue state, Philly, blue city, Philly, LA, Chicago, New York, you get away with it. And now these criminals, they're traveling, but they're in for a rude awakening, because in some places in America, the law is still the law. Now, did they get lynched? Did they get beat up like Emmett Till? Did they get killed? Did they get attacked by a mob of Klansmen? No, they did not. No, they didn't. No, they got held accountable and they lived to tell about it. Why can't they enforce the law like that in Philadelphia? Oh, because Philadelphia is run by a bunch of criminal-minded, criminal-protecting Democrats. That is the only difference there.
Talk about yet again another.
Just embarrassing. But it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing how when you actually enforce the law, it stops crime. Dix didn't lose $2,000 worth of merchandise and have to leave the city because theft has driven them out of business. They got their merch back.
Get into this.
And they stole, and they stole, and they stole. Yeah, how do you like that? This is everything that they stole. And guess what? As we've said before, you can't go any place, anytime that you're not on a camera. So Dick's Sporting Goods knows that they're stealing because they're watching this systematic, organized theft ring called a football team. Now, not only did they steal 47 items, not only did they steal 47 items, but ostensibly they may have cost their team the championship and the football game, because I don't know if these all were starters or not, but I can tell you that we were finishers. We arrested them. We took them to the Juvenile Assessment Center and we put them in lockup. But I want to introduce you to their coach. His name's Ramon Bynes, B-Y-N-E-S. So when we notify the coach who is responsible for them, you would think he would be interested in holding them accountable and responsible. Instead, he goes to the deputies and begs them not to take these young men into custody. Oh, don't arrest them. Drop the charges. Let them go. And then when we said no, then they go to Dick's Sporting Goods to the manager and said, oh, don't charge them. Don't charge them. They were not taking bubble gum one piece to chew.
Exactly. They were stealing over $2,000 worth of merchandise. And I'm not going to lie. In my mind, when I hear that, I feel like the coach is the one who sent them to do that. I feel like the coach is the one who sent them to do it. Because what kids go in a store and know exactly what to go for? The most expensive items, right? But they had to have some type of money, because you don't just get on a traveling youth football team for free. So these aren't the poorest kids in the community in Philadelphia either, unless they out there on a sponsorship. Robert Woolley, let me get this comment. I moved from California to a red state, and they do not play here. It's like night and day in comparison. 100%. If that had been California, the police would have never showed up. They would have just told Dix, you know what? That's your problem. That's why when you come to LA, there's really Dix in only 2 or 3 places, and they're nowhere near black people. Cerritos, ain't no black people living in Cerritos. El Segundo, barely a sprinkle of black people living in El Segundo. Dick's Sporting Good purposely stays out of the black community or far away from it. You have to drive on the freeway to get to Dick's Sporting Good. Why? Because they want to stay in business. They want to stay in business. And then you'll say, well, that's a stereotype. You profiling. Nah, a child theft ring attempting to steal over $2,000 in merchandise gets busted up by Polk County sheriffs in Florida. And the coach says, don't arrest them and don't charge them. No apologies. No, I'll handle it. I'll get on these boys. I'll let their parents know. None of that. Yeah, just don't arrest them. You cry. Black people have become emboldened in our criminality because of liberal city and state soft on crime policies. And it puts us all in jeopardy when we go to a place where they're actually enforcing the law and when they begin enforcing the law again. Because I don't think that anyone has to like convince you or prove to you. You can see it yourself. They are already starting to put the clamps on when it comes to the criminal activity and behavior. It's starting to feel like the 92 and 96 crime bill all over again. Believe me, it will get there.
Stole over $2,000 worth of products, over 47 different products they stole.
Yeah, that's a damn shame. And that's one of the reasons why I am covering this story is because this coach should be ashamed of himself. When you talk about youth sports, youth athletics, right? And I learned this, growing up, playing football my whole life, is that the main takeaway, right, from youth sports, the main point is not to win. Okay, it's not to win. Because ultimately, winning doesn't really matter that much in the grand scheme of these kids and their lives. What really matters is the life lessons, the values that you learn from participating in youth sports. Okay, local news media about what happened.
Raekwon Bynes has been coaching the Olney-based United Thoroughbred football team for the past 6 years.
You strive on discipline, prayer, and schoolwork too.
The team was in Florida last week for a championship game. On Saturday, Bynes says he went to wake up the boys for prayer, but 8 of them weren't in their beds.
I got a phone call simultaneously saying that, hey, coach, can you come get us from Dick's Sporting Goods? And when I got there, that's when I found out everything that was going on.
Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd released this surveillance video saying it was all caught on camera. Polk County Sheriff deputies took the boys into custody, accusing them of stealing nearly $2,300 in merchandise.
They stole and they stole and they stole and they stole and they stole. Yeah. How do you like that?
I was not only surprised, but very disappointed.
Bynes says he asked the deputies and the store not to press charges, but authorities charged the 8 boys with felony theft.
I just hope that they take this as a lesson learned, and realize like actions have consequences and actions also affect not just you, but those around you.
The arrested players were in custody during the championship game Saturday. The team lost. Bynes and the rest of the coaches drove the kids back to Philly that night. What did they share with you?
They didn't really share much with me, just because, like, again, when a kid knows that you did wrong, they're disappointed in themselves, and you can't even really look at me in my face.
And it's unclear when the boys will have a court date next. We reached out to the Florida Department of Juvenile Justice, but have not yet heard back. Bynes shared that the arrested teens are no longer on the team. That's both because they aged out, but also a consequence of their actions, he says.
And then when it was evident that they were going to be arrested, then the coach says, don't you guys have anything better to do? What are all these deputies doing here? Don't you have anything better to do than arrest these kids? Listen, I don't know how you do things in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but in Polk County, Florida, we'd lock you up for stealing, for being a thief. So this is part of a football team.
What do you guys think? What do you guys think the future careers are of these young scholars here, right? I think we got a doctor, a lawyer, an astronaut, a physicist. This guy, he's a AI researcher, right? We got a nuclear engineer here, right? An accountant, a biologist, right? I'm sure all of these young teenagers, these young scholars, I'm sure they're going to grow up and be positive contributors to society, right? They're going to be on the cutting edge of innovation. I'm sure, right? That's the story that we're always told. Oh, they were going to be A+ students. They were going to go to college or university. They were going to change the world, right? And the reality is that it's always the same characters, right? It's always the same characters, the same looks, the same profile, the same everything. And when you notice this pattern and you call it out, they say, oh, well, it's racist. It's not racist. If you don't want these type of stereotypes, then you need to crack down on this behavior. And that's my biggest problem with the coach. That's my biggest problem, is that he's complicit in all this. Because clearly his leadership has failed these kids.
This is also the thoroughbred thieves, and it's their choice. It's their choice to go to jail because they Ubered down and were actively ripping off Dick's Sporting Goods. 47 items, I believe they were caught with. So at the end of the day, the message is clear, not just in this Christmas season, but anytime. All of these stores have cameras. And we have relationships with all of these stores. If you come here to Polk County and steal, there's no notices to appear. There's no warnings. You're in handcuffs and taken to the county jail or taken to juvenile lockup, period. You don't want to go to jail? You don't want to go to juvenile lockup? Don't steal. We didn't choose to arrest you. You chose to be arrested. And that's the way it is. And for the coach, you're way off base here, buddy. Way off base. You're the ultimate loser. If you'd been coaching these kids upright, if you knew where they were, if you didn't allow them to Uber away, they would have played in a ball game Saturday night. So you have a compare and contrast here.
Man, the coach is a piece of crap. There's no compare and contrast. The coach looks like he's a young dude who's immature, like he might have joined them in stealing had they put him up on game, or like he might have gave them the idea. You know, some of these older dudes would be like, yeah, man, when I was younger, we'd go to the sporting goods store and just clean up and steal. He looks like one of those type of people. And then when he talks to the cops, don't you have anything better to do? He doesn't even know how to talk in a way that could kind of maybe get the police officers to let the kids at least play in the game. He's antagonizing the cops, insulting them. And then you wonder why the kids got shown no mercy. They got no leniency because you got a dumbass coach who shouldn't be coaching anybody. How you coaching a team and the team is capable of going to get a damn Uber without you even knowing? How you the coach of the team? No, I don't believe it. I believe the coach told them. I believe the coach told them to steal. How you know, J World? How you know? How you know he didn't tell them to steal? You don't know that. It don't matter. He's responsible. When you're responsible for somebody, if they do something, it's like you did it. It's like you did it. Coach didn't tell him to steal, though, like you was there. I don't know if he told him to steal. I said he might have told him to steal. That's what I said. He might have told him. He didn't tell him to steal, though, Brandon. How do you know? How do you know? But see, this is black folks. We know so much. Ain't met that man a day in our life. And then, and the thing that makes me think, you know, that maybe he did tell him to steal was his response to everything once they got caught. What adult rolls up to the police and say, oh, yeah, don't y'all got something better to do? Don't y'all got something better to do when a group of his kids get caught stealing? You know how idiotic and moronic you have to be to do something like that? I don't, this guy's immature. And when you show me you're immature, there's no telling what you could have told him to do. I'm sorry. But we need to reinstitute those laws in every state in the union. If they would have came to California, they would have said, oh, well, they didn't steal over $5,000 worth of merchandise, so they get to walk off. Just ridiculous ass soft on crime policies. Okay. But yeah, that's what happens. That's what happens, man. You send your kids somewhere with this goober, and then your kid ends up being detained. And I don't think the kids even went to jail. Well, they might have went to jail. They might have got arrested. But hold on. I'm trying to get into my doggone account for. Hold on, let me see. Okay. I'm in. We gotta. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to show you guys this other. I'm trying to actually move on to the next topic, but for some reason, I cannot find. I can't log in. Send login link. Okay. You know, Instagram and stuff. They try to lock you out. But how y'all doing today? Please do me a favor while we're during this brief little break. Please use this as an opportunity to like, share, and subscribe if you have not already. I am trying to get in. I'm getting into Instagram right now, guys. Because I have another story that's gonna blow your mind. This is something even I couldn't believe. Hold on. Okay, we should be in a matter of seconds. Okay, we're good. Hold on. Let me just put this in. All right, y'all. We in this thing. Okay. Let me go back here. See if I can get back to my dang on link. My darn on link. Okay. So this story is pretty shocking. A teenager killed a police officer. Black teenager kills a police officer in an alley. Basically, no remorse, as the officer's partner cries over the fallen officer's body, which is crazy. So this was in Milwaukee, where two officers were called out and they were ambushed by a YN named Tremaine Jones. He basically ambushes the cops, kills one, and this is the clip. This is crazy, man. This is wild. Let me see if I could share this. Hold on.
We're at 2-4 Garfield in the alley.
Black cop too.
Quarter, no, 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 no. Please don't do this to me, bro. Please don't do this to me. Quarter. Oh, quarter. Quarter.
I'm calling.
You need 12. My partner's only 40.
Come on, watch out.
Quarter. No, 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 no.
Damn, they killed the police.
We're at 2-4. At 2-4 Garfield in the alley. Quarter, no, 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 no. Please don't do this to me, bro. Please don't do this to me. Quarter. Oh, quarter. Quarter.
I'm calling.
You need 12. My partner's only 40.
Come on, watch out.
Quarter. No, 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 no.
Damn, they killed the police.
We're at 2-4. At 2-4 Garfield in the alley.
So Tremaine Jones, young scholar out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, ambushes the police, kills one of them. This is why situations like what happened in Florida are so important. See, you have all these people, they see kids doing something. They see little black kids doing something. In their mind, they say, oh, that's just a kid. That's just a kid. You got to give them a break. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because when you fail to hold children and their parents accountable, guess what happens? Sometimes they'll say, you know what? I'm glad that person gave me a chance. I never want to be in a situation like that again. But most times, you know what it does? It does nothing more than embolden them. It emboldens them to go out and do more crime because they develop a mindset of, hey, what's the worst that could happen? I've heard young dudes say, yeah, I'll shoot somebody because if I get caught, all they're going to give me is juvenile life. All they're going to give me is juvenile life. I won't do no real time. It's people walking around with this mindset. Young folks walking around with this mindset. That's how you make your community more dangerous. That's how you create a situation where the YNs are terrorizing the community, guys. You don't just fall into these situations that we're in. You gradually slide into these situations by being too lenient. That's the issue. But I just had to cover that because that was just a tragic story. But let's do one more. Let's talk about how these women's are absolutely melting down. They're absolutely melting down over Jasmine Crockett's. Hold on. So they're absolutely melting down over Jasmine Crockett's interview that she had the other day, where many people are saying she was exposed as being a racist. Let's tap into this and see if there's any truth to it. Hold on. I need to share the screen again. Here we go. You guys can see that? Okay. All right, cool.
Something else you said you'd had it with are minorities in ICE.
I mean, that connects to this, right?
Yeah.
Like, not only do you have no moral compass, and how many times have you seen these guys? They've got their masks on, so you can't see their whole face. But what you can see, it's like a brown skin tone and a dude who looks like his last name is probably like Lopez or Hernandez or something. It's like, what is wrong with you? Not only do you not have morality, apparently you don't have self-preservation. I mean, these people hate you. They hate you. They hate your family. They hate your kids. They hate your future grandkids. They don't think you belong here. You're not a quote unquote heritage American. You're never going to belong. And you're the one implementing the violent force against your own community. I just can't wrap my head around that.
Boy. So we got to continue our coverage of ghetto Democrat Jasmine Crockett, who currently has the Democrats in a full-blown panic behind closed doors because she has declared that she's running for Senate in Texas, right? She believes that she can win statewide in a race against a Republican in a red state. Now, we're going to see, right, if Jasmine Crockett's delusions actually become reality. But as of right now, it doesn't seem as if she's off to a hot start.
Wire decision for Texas Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett to run for re-election to her House seat or shoot for the U.S. Senate. Congresswoman announced her bid for Senate on Monday, joining an already somewhat crowded Democratic field. Joining us now is Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. So congratulations on your announcement.
Thanks.
Your official announcement is just a video of you and an image of you while insults of President Trump of you play in the background. Why that decision? I mean, one of your opponents, Tallarico, he had a video, him with constituents, him with Texans. Why you solo?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. Number one, I wanted to do something different because number one, in order to flip the state of Texas, we're gonna have to do something that we've never done. So I wanted to stay on brand with the fact that we would be different. I also wanted people to understand who the president sees as a real threat, and it is me. He also made it clear a number of times that he sees me as a leader. Those are his words, not mine. And so I wanted to do that. That's number one. Number two, I wanted to do a real announcement with actual people, nothing that was staged. I wanted the real people. And so it had to be in that moment. So I also wanted to make sure that we delivered a full speech that had all the substance there. So on that same day, if you were paying attention or if you were interested, you got the full meat of what it is that I want to do as the next senator in the state of Texas.
I can't let it pass that she said, you got the full meat. Hey, I love that Rotten Roll called out her code switching. What happened to Ghetto Miss Thing? Sister girl and Trump scared of me, y'all. And, try hippie shit, girl. See what I'm saying? You caught it, Rotten Roll. The code switch is crazy. Now she's running for senator. She got to get a more diverse group of people to vote for her. Now she code switches back to acting like she got some sense. She said the full meat. She said, I'm going to get, they got the full meat, pause. Somebody says she's cute. No, she's not. No, she's not. She cute when the camera 10 feet away and she got 3 layers of makeup. But I seen some very bad looking pictures of Jasmine Crockett.
As well as I did this with the people right there at home in my district.
So, wow, she's so dumb. She's so dumb. She's like, well, I made this ridiculous campaign video, right? I mean, that's probably one of the most embarrassing opening campaign videos I've ever seen in my life, right? You have the president insulting you, but she's so dumb, so stupid that she doesn't realize that President Trump is calling her a leader of the Democrat Party because she makes the Democrats look bad, right?
Big chunk of them. Explain the math to me. We should note President Trump won Texas pretty handily by about 14 percentage points. So you don't need every Trump voter, but you need a big chunk of them. Explain the math to me. How does any Democrat, but especially one who is progressive and outspoken, how do you win over Trump voters?
So this is what I want to tell you about. There's 2 things that we need to talk about that are separate things that I think both of them are necessary to win. Number one, we actually have to turn out more voters. If you do the research on the state of Texas, we typically rank the lowest in voter turnout period in the country. We've got to get that up. I want to say the most recent one that I remember, maybe a little over 50% of people turned out. When we looked at Georgia and we saw Georgia go blue, what they were able to do is they were able to get more people to participate. So that's number one. So for me, it was always about expanding the electorate. Number two, this is a great talking point that we've heard over and over and over, that maybe you need to sound like a Trumper so you can get Trumpers to be on board. But what we know is that there were Trump and Mondami voters. There were Obama and Trump voters. There were AOC and Trump voters. So a lot of people want to distill this down into something as simple as, oh, it's progressive or it's this. But the reality is that people vote for who they believe in. They vote for the people that they believe really care about bettering their lives. And what we know is apparent is that a lot of people have been turned off by Trump.
Well, here's the thing. You vote for people who you believe care about your life. Do you think someone who's only running for that seat because there's no way they can win in their own district now, do you think they really care about your life? Or do you think they're just running to continue their political career? That's why I'm pretty sure she's going to lose. I'm pretty sure she's going to lose. Because there's no one with 2 brain cells who believes that Jasmine Crockett is genuinely attempting to help anybody in Texas. Her entire goal of being a politician, her entire purpose of being a politician is to go at Trump. Now, even if there are some people who have become disillusioned with Trump, that doesn't mean they're no longer conservatives. If you look at the situation in New York, it was vote for Sliwa, Mamdani, or who else was the other guy? Or Cuomo. It was 2 bad choices, and Mamdani won. But in Texas, they're going to have 3 good choices, better choices than Jasmine Crockett. So how's she going to come out on top of that? Pause. It doesn't make sense. She's totally misreading the field. She knows she's fake. She knows she's phony. She's kind of created this situation where she can't even speak without bringing up Donald Trump. So I don't know how that's going to pan out for her.
When we look at Tennessee, I'm not asking you to look far north or over in California. When you look at the red state of Tennessee, he won that seat by over 20 points, yet it came within single digits. When you look at Mississippi, they flipped 2 Senate seats. When you look at Georgia on November 4th, they elected 2 Democrats statewide. So what I am saying is people are finally saying, you know what, even those that voted for Trump, because there's plenty that regret it.
Yeah.
And I think that those people would be more willing to listen at this point. But I think you've got to expand the electorate, and you got to talk to anybody who actually says, you know what, he played us.
Let me tell you.
All right, let me explain why Jasmine Crockett is delusional here, right?
I think I just explained that. But yeah, this lady is crazy. Jasmine Crockett knows she can't win. Jasmine Crockett's strength is her ability to beg for money. That's it. All she does is beg for money. Her 2 things, the 2 things she does for the Democrat Party are, hold on one second. The 2 things she does for the Democrat Party is bash Donald Trump nonstop, day in, day out, and beg for money. I can't even go on Instagram or Facebook without a reel of her begging for money popping up. Jasmine, you're a 1-trick pony. You're a 2-trick pony. Or maybe you're just a trick. And no one in Texas is going to vote for you, boo. Sorry.
That will be voting on the U.S. Senate primary for the Democrat. Now, right now you have Jasmine Crockett, very fiery lady, African American. You know how they are. You don't want to get them upset because they're going to get you. And she draws a lot of attention because she really be laying into Donald Trump and the Republicans, and it makes for good sound bites. And then you have the more softer spoken James Tellerico, who is running in the primary as a Democrat for that Senate seat to challenge the sitting Republican. Well, here's the problem. Crockett, while she sounds super progressive and you would think that she would support Palestinians, etc., she doesn't. She actually takes money from AIPAC, a lot of it apparently. According to the research that I could find, she took a paid trip to Israel in the midst of the genocide. That's pretty disgusting right there.
You know what really bothers me about Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett running for Senate in Texas is not the fact that she ran this really embarrassing, incredibly narcissistic ad that basically is just about herself, or the fact that Texas very much is still a red state, so it's unlikely that a Democrat is going to win for the Senate there. What actually really bothers me about it is how willing progressives are, my fellow people on the left, to quickly abandon everything you claim to stand for just because you like someone's personality. I saw this article and I was like, is this a fucking joke? Jasmine Crockett's bid for the Senate is the latest sign of a Tea Party style revolt for progressives? Yeah, you can't call it a Tea Party revolt and then run like a standard corporate Democrat pretending it's an insurgency. Democrats literally do this every fucking cycle. Stop falling for it, because voters are angry. Every time you lie to them and con them, you lose more permanently. Proving once again that you've learned shit from the last election. You can cope and seethe about it all you want, but the fact of the matter is, Jasmine Crockett is a very standard conservative corporate Democrat. Just because she's good at trolling Trump and she's got a good media presence doesn't make her a progressive.
Until she tells us her stance on is not real, I'm not voting for her. But these are the same people that was in her comment section saying that she should be president 2028. Y'all not know that those talking points come from is not real themselves. Benjamin said it himself that the weapons changes over time. What are the weapons? Social media. Let's be clear. You wasn't going to vote for Jasmine Crockett because you just wasn't going to vote for Jasmine Crockett. Even though she and her team has announced several times they do not take AIPAC money, which is usually y'all's second pivot when the first one doesn't work. She has made it clear that she doesn't take money from that country. That won't be good enough. You will want her heart, lung, and liver. Since that will forever be the talking point for people that don't want to vote for Black candidates. At this point, the Democratic Party needs to formulate their own AIPAC organization. They also need to formulate their own bot forms. Elon showed us that most of the people that supported the right, specifically this regime, came from other countries. Nothing Jasmine Crockett would say moving forward would satisfy these people because they was never going to vote for her to begin with. Stay around with your life like you did the presidency if you want to. Please do share on what platform that you see and hear that Jasmine Crockett supported is not real. I want y'all to peep. The same people that saying that they will not vote for Jasmine Crockett are the same people that was trying to force Marjorie Taylor Greene in our faces.
I'm going to need people to...
I want you guys to understand something and how delusional these women are. The reason everyone's saying she supports Israel is because she took AIPAC money. That's on record. 2, she literally took a trip to Israel in the middle of the Palestinian genocide situation. And she wasn't out there condemning Israel. She was out there shaking hands and rubbing elbows and begging for money. Jasmine Crockett don't care who you are. If you got money and you're willing to give it to her, she will support you. That's the way she is.
Start living in the real world. Jasmine Crockett announced her run for Senate, and all of the Never Kamala bots, all of the Never Kamala leftists, they're dusting off their platforms. They're stretching their Twitter fingers, getting ready to spread the new bullshit narrative against another Black woman candidate. There's an old clip of Jasmine Crockett talking about Israel and how we in the United States have a relationship with Israel, blah, blah, blah. And you see people in those comments, I use the word people lightly because again, like 75% of them are fucking bots. You see comments under...
Listen, never, ever, ever underestimate the ability of a Black woman to get up and defend something that 1, she knows absolutely nothing about, or 2, is absolutely, completely terrible for her. These are the same women who defend dudes who beat their ass, take their money, eat up all their kids' food, take their food stamp card and use it to buy their side chick refrigerator full of groceries. I'm not listening to them. African Americans in general, we have this like trauma bonding, this affinity for trauma bonding. Look at the Democrat Party. The more they kick us in the ding-ding, the more we support them. So I'm not listening to these ladies when they tell me, oh, these are bots going at Jasmine Crockett. Oh, we still need to support Jasmine Crockett. They're never going to tell you why you need to support her. They're just going to try to shame you and make you feel bad. Why didn't they get on their phone and say, this is why you need to support Jasmine Crockett, and then just start listing the policies? Oh, wait, she doesn't have any. They want you to support a do-nothing politician who will get in the Senate and continue to do nothing but beg for money and bash Donald Trump. At this point, anyone who's voting for Jasmine Crockett, they're only voting for this lady for entertainment value. And I'm sorry, the United States government should not be paying people in excess of $100,000 a year to entertain. Get the job done.
Underneath the post talking about I'm so disappointed. Oh, forget it. I thought I loved Jasmine. Oh, never mind. I'm not voting for her. I won't vote for anybody who takes AIPAC money. First of all, Jasmine Crockett has never taken AIPAC money. That's number one. And number two, what the fuck do you mean you're so surprised? What the fuck do you mean that this is shocking to you? Anybody out here who is surprised by Jasmine Crockett's pro-Israel stance or pro-allyship with Israel stance clearly does not follow fucking politics. And that is the issue that we have in this country. We have a bunch of super vocal people who don't actually follow the politics that they want to be so fucking vocal about. Because what do you mean you're surprised that a Democrat supports Israel and Israel's right to statehood? What the fuck do you mean? Have you been paying attention? Of course you haven't, because you don't actually watch politics. American foreign policy supports Israel.
And this is why I would not, in Jasmine Crockett's case, apply this logic that, well, in these off-year elections, we're seeing Democrats win in places that they otherwise shouldn't win. Like, for example,
this whole thing is around the AIPAC money. The woman will take money from anyone. She's taken money from super PACs that are very similar to AIPAC. You just go in and say, hey, I'll do what you want me to do. I'll take your money, but I can't take it directly from AIPAC. And then AIPAC says, that's cool. We have all these different shell companies and group and accounts for donations. We'll give it to you from one of those accounts. They're literally just mincing words. She's taking it. You don't want her to take money from anyone Jewish. She's taking it. She's taking millions and millions of dollars of it. And I don't even think there's anything wrong with that. But hey, that's me. So look, Representative Jasmine Crockett has not directly accepted money from the American Israel Public Affairs Committee in the current cycle, according to some social media sources and campaign finance trackers. However, reports indicate she has accepted funding from other political action committees and an AIEF funded trip, right? So understand that. Here's her voting record. Crockett's voting record and public statements often indicate a progressive stance, including voting no on a specific partisan Israel aid package in November 2023 because it excluded humanitarian aid for Gaza and aid for Ukraine, which he stated was a morally bankrupt political stunt. While Crockett has been an outspoken critic of certain PAC influences, campaign finance disclosures from when she ran for state representative showed she accepted contribution from a variety of other corporate and industry-specific PACs, leading to accusations of hypocrisy from some sources. One point of contention among critics is her trip to Israel, Tel Aviv, was paid for by the American Israel Education Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization linked to AIPAC. Yeah, Jasmine, I think you just went to Israel to get the money in cash. So there's no paper trail. I don't trust her. I don't care about someone accepting money from Israel. I don't use that as a barometer for whether or not I support them. What I care about is she's a liar. She's a do-nothing politician. And honestly, she'll never get anything done because she wants to fight with the president. To me, she's a Maxine Waters 2.0. Just over here hooting and hollering, but not doing a damn thing. She's performative, political theater. And that's how she stays in office. That's it. All right, guys, we're going to call it a day on this one. We've covered all the topics that I found interesting. Any suggestions you guys have for the channel, how I can make it better, let me know. I'm listening. Put in the comments under this video. I want to hear it. Thank you so much for watching this. I appreciate everything you do for me and this channel. Until the next time, take care of yourselves, but most importantly, please take care of each other. Peace.